Hey, good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey, and today is May 30th, 2015, and it is 5:42 p.m. It's been now almost 12 and a half hours since I got home from my ayahuasca ceremony, and so I just wanted to give another update, a post update of my earlier video that I did on this, that I did today on my third ayahuasca ceremony. These are just other thoughts or, things I might have forgotten to mention, you know. So, let me see. Well, physically, I do feel more alert, and that when I spoke the last time, I think my video that I did this morning was it was about 7 a.m. around that time, I think, and I was physically very, my body was very, it was still humming, and it was a weird feeling, and that just goes to show you, here it was actually, it's 12 hours since I've been home, and then let's see, in about 17 hours since my third, what do you call it? I had two samples of the ayahuasca. So it was serving, I meant to say. And so that thing really had a really strong kick. And that second serving that I had, I had thrown it up. It was just that bitter tasting. It was really strong, So my body was still responding from the first serving that I had yesterday. I had that first serving. Let's see. About 2 hour difference. Yeah, I think the first serving was around 10 o'clock. Or no, 9 o'clock. It was after 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. And then the second serving sometime around 12 or 11 something. Yeah. So, I guess, okay, so it's like 2 hours, 2 hour plus. And, I think that I should not have taken the second serving of the ayahuasca because I was it affected me very strongly, and I think that's why that I regurgitated it, because it was just too much. So, and yes, it was real bitter tasting, and I did not like it. It was really that bad, The first sample was bad, but this, the second serving, it was beyond awful. So that's my first lesson with that, If your body is really responding very strongly, if it starts to subside, then, so be it, you can take some. But I think the reason why I took the second serving, because I think my mindset was, well, the first serving is just a primer. No, that wasn't. At least this brew was not a primer. This thing was full throttle, So I should have listened to my body, but that was my mindset at the time, and I was concerned that, like maybe an hour from that time, the ayahuasca would have, faded off. That's what I thought. And but no, that wasn't the case with this serving. It was a strong brew, and again, this service was different than the other two services that I've been to, prior services. This one was a San Miguel service where it's about um, in Christian lingo, like a deliverance, to get to really delve deep in those things that are that have strongholds on you, you know. So, and I think that's why the ayahuasca was so potent, you know. So I did take the second serving, but I regurgitated it immediately. But again, some of it still might have remained in me because I just threw up once, or something like that. But as for the experience again, well, I feel still little sensations in the heart chakra area and in my muscles, you know, but not as intense as it was at 7 a.m. when I spoke last on the third ayahuasca ceremony that I've been into. As for visuals, I also remember seeing these clusters of, I'm not sure whether they're called cherry blossoms or the magnolia blossoms. These were blossoms that were, how do you say, it was beautiful. They were in like bunches and clusters on top of clusters, like a whitish color, and it was like a boom, 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 you know, of blossoming, you know, you know, shown in my view. It was absolutely beautiful, you know. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that I felt in my body, and that, and again, this was a San Miguel, you know, for deliverance, that I was afraid to really go into it deep, even though I took the second serving because I was determined to go deeper, you know. And I said, well, you know, I don't know how many more ayahuasca services I'm going to have. Shh, quiet. I'm sorry, that's my other dog. She sees food that the other dog left and she wants to eat it. So quiet. My apology. So yeah. So you know, I the whole point was to go deep and Lily, quiet. That's not nice. Sit down. Sit down. I'm doing a video. I'm doing a video. You sit down. No, that food's not yours. I really apologize. You know, but either way, the whole point was to delve deep. But again, like life, you know, you say you want to know the truth, but sometimes it's sensitive, and I see that I am still sensitive, that I'm still holding back to let myself go for some things, you know. I think with the colors that I saw, the black with the bright colors underneath this black veneer, it did something primal in me. I felt like a primal fear. Okay, I put you down. That's the little one that you saw earlier. Inside. Come on, you can get down. Okay, I'm sorry, that was the little one, the little sweet pea. I had to put her down. She's not able to climb down by herself. So, I'm sorry. So, yeah, it was interesting that it was still there, that fear. primal fear that I had with regard to. I thought as if what I was watching was, it was a symbol to something, that's what was bothering me, not the colors in itself, but that I thought that it was a symbol of something that was to be revealed, but I was afraid, But interesting that it had both components, the black and the color. And the color representing, the fruitfulness in life, yeah. So how do I feel, whether I would do this again? I don't know. I spoke to the person who's in charge of the Diame service here in New York, and I told him a little bit, he had called me earlier today to make sure I got home okay, and I told him a little briefly what I was experiencing, and he did say that he'll call me back so that we can discuss it. He's been doing ayahuasca since the 1990s, I believe. So he's a veteran, so to speak. I also was watching a video as I'm lying here. I didn't go out today. Who knows, maybe I might go out later on, but I wanted to stay still, especially because I had a very strong servant of the ayahuasca, and my muscles felt funny, and I was concerned about the different energies out there. And what do I mean by that? Okay. Well, in Christian lingo or lore, especially in the Pentecostal Protestant movement, where I come out from, that, at least it was a person that shared me this, that, you notice, like, with a lot of priests, ministers, there's always some sex scandal, and you ask yourself, why? Some of these people, men, they're sincere about what they teach. One thing that happens when you're ministering to people and you're on a spiritual level, there's an open channel that's happening with that person or that vessel. Think of it as a revolving door, that someone could come out, but then again someone could come in at the same time, right? So the pastor is giving a sermon, and he or she may have the spirit of the gods indwell upon them, or ministering to them, and that spiritual door is open. But the spirit realm could be inhabited by friend or foe. So those ministers that fall into temptation, that door is open, and their bodies are sensitive. Their body, their soul, they're just more sensitive to any stimulus. And so you get something that tempts them wherever where their temptation is. We all have temptations, and that's what happened. So with me, that spiritual door was open through ayahuasca. And for me to go outside and dealing with other people's energies, it was like, even when people's eyes and people looking at each other, and your eyes may be sensitive to what their eyes are communicating to you, because you're tapping into that person's soul or their subconscious or conscious, and it's you're sensitive to it. And so my feeling shaky physically, and then having these other energies, and I'm sensitive, So if it's not an energy if it's a low frequency energy, you don't want that, you know. Um, Fluctuations or extremes, could make you feel uncomfortable. So I thought, let me just stay at home, you know, and just try to regroup, just to like patchwork, to have those spiritual windows close up a little bit, so I'm not as sensitive if I do decide later on to go out, so that was my reasoning, and again, I was just tired too. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to share with you. More of a personal story regarding this third ayahuasca ceremony. It just, my memory just got awakened when I mentioned something about the minister, that I was giving an example about sensitivities and, falling to temptation. Well, when I was under the ayahuasca, some type of, you ever have a thought, like we can talk to ourselves, in our mind. You hear our own voice talking within ourselves, deliberately. But sometimes we can have inner dialogue with our own self, but we're not really, we don't hear it in our head, sub-vocalization it's called. But you are communicating with yourself, but you don't hear it. But subconsciously, you can hear you are dialoguing with yourself. Well, something like that happened. I guess maybe it was like a memory or something, but it was something of a sexual nature. And all of a sudden, I started to get sensations in that, how to put it nicely, that private zone area, in between my legs. And I said, what's going on here, to myself? And I said to myself, I don't want to go there. And you ask yourself, well, why wouldn't you want to go there? You have all these people who want, or what do you call it, the Kundalini experience and things like that. But again, I'm in an environment with a lot of people, and I think my ego, that I didn't want them to think I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced many things, but I guess because I'm so new with ayahuasca, and I was afraid what would happen, because I sense when the sensation that I had, it was like a warm sensation, and that it was a powerful energy, and I was afraid that it was going to take over my whole body, So I said, no, I'm not going there. And then the feeling subsided. I think also with my Christian training that I had in the past, that, how it's implied that anything of a sexual nature is bad, and also that when something of a sexual energy being released, that something could come in. And you know what I mean, that what could come in. And those who don't know, a spirit, and a sex spirit. And I think that was my other big concern. I said, I don't want anything touching my body, without my consent, of a sexual nature. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Oh, there was something else I wanted to share, and I think it is still addressing my issue, with this third ceremony that I had with ayahuasca. I think I mentioned that I was watching a video. This video that I saw was actually on the Buddha, the historical Buddha that started the Buddha movement, and Buddha means the enlightened one, or something to that effect. And I thought it was like a biography about him, his life, and the movement that he's established in northeast India. I had a question regarding him. Well, one thing about Buddha, okay, he first, what was it, about 6 years practicing yoga and meditation, and he withheld a lot of worldly pleasures. He was starving, and they said that he almost died from that austere life. And he said, he had two we call it yogis, spiritual teachers. Not at the same time, but when he had one, when that was over, then he found another teacher. Excuse me. He said to himself, I'm not getting enlightened. I mean, here I almost died because of this, harshness to the body. He said, I know, I'm just going to just meditate under the tree. And he meditated under this big tree. I think it's called a fig tree. It was a big one. And he was there for one whole day or something like that. And then he said that he got enlightened, and that his issue about reincarnation was a done deal, meaning that he wasn't going to have that cycle happen again, that he will end reincarnation, and that he saw that he was reincarnated multitude times into different gender, different types of animals, etc. My question was, how did he know through his actions of meditation, how does he know that he reached nirvana? How did he know that he will no longer have reincarnations happen to him anymore? What signaled to him, what gave him this enlightenment? That wasn't clear with me, that, I mean, it was explained that he was visited by this being when he was meditating. It reminded me of what Jesus went through when he was being tempted, that this figure, I would call him what they call the boogeyman in Western vernacular, and they were just trying to frighten him. They had other demons, whatever, trying to scare him, but that the Buddha, his name was Siddhartha, something like that, that he didn't budge. He held his ground, and he didn't let them fluster him, and then they tempted him with women, and he just held his ground. And then he felt like he won the battle, spiritual battle, and he overcame this world system. But how, by just those examples, how does he know that he will no longer have reincarnation? And again, with this spirit walk that I'm doing, how does he know that he is out of the matrix? That you have a system within a system, and it could be within another system, and so on, like an onion, different layers. And when you crack through one, you might be enter into some other thing. So it's just really something. How do we know when we're truly out of the matrix? these are just some of the questions that I have that I would like to answer within myself, because yes, we all want enlightenment. We all want that inner peace and joy that Buddha said that he has, and maybe some friends or family members that you may know. I see that a lot of times and I catch myself with thinking maybe having certain types of clothing or going to certain places, all external things, and it does add some comfort, but ultimate comfort that if those physical things or people are no longer here, you don't want to be so tied to those material things, because then you'll have nothing when it goes. I want something that is eternal, that is forever with me, and that be set as my anchor for pure happiness and joy. So these are just my thoughts post third ayahuasca, and about 17 hours ago from my partaking of this. So please share this video with friends and family. Please subscribe, and you can write your comments below. And again, as I always say, give me the thumbs up. Peace to you guys. Bye-bye.